I've tried to record this video about 7 different times. It's a 36-minute video. It's taken a lot of my life to do, so we're going to do it a different way today.
Have you ever had questions about what you've considered your intellectual property and your proprietary property? Have you ever had questions about what's public property versus what isn't? What's public corporate and what isn't? What's publicly traded and what isn't? Well, I have too. And so I spent about 40 minutes the other night doing a search on TikTok AI because it told me I could ask it anything. Now, we had a very traumatic ending, so make sure you stick around for that. That was, yeah. Okay, so let's get it started, okay? Check it out. Oh, one more thing. See pin disclaimer at the top of the channel. It says disclaimer right here for any kind of fraudulent DMCA reports.
Can I get down here? Alright, so let's get over here and let's add some sound. Is there any... There we go. That's what I'm talking about. Why do you destroy creators' content so hatefully against all Texas laws? You have even settled out of court for being so heinous. Why you still do it, TikTok? I understand your frustration and feel you have been unfairly targeted. Let me clarify TikTok's content policies and Texas laws to address your concern. I'm going to try to find some background music here too that's a little bit more pleasing than clicking. Possibly, maybe. Why don't you honor your creator's individual copyright law and instead oppress us? And that's my daughter yelling at her new dog, Max. She's been having fun yelling at somebody. You know how that goes. I guess I deleted all the music. What happened there? Beats to relax. Okay. How long is the beats to relax? Hmm. 310, that's perfect. The thing about this is the cloud is actually traded on a publicly traded NASDAQ. They're part of the cloud. They're hiding that. This is a 9-year-old company, TikTok. So, in essence, consider the source when a 9-year-old corporation gives you guidelines that stand right over top of the United States Constitution. So it's going through the appeal process and pointing out, you know, what it's programmed to point out to us. I said, yeah, why not? Go ahead, explain it to me, baby.
Like it's zip tied back together, so it's all one piece. Not flopping around and coming apart.
Yeah, I told you we're all sick from that damn magnetism. They broke the damn meter on the magnetism scale they hit us so hard for so long. Trying to recalibrate it with magnets, it won't even pick up magnets now. I'm like, oh man, that's baloney. So yeah, we're all coughing, sore throats. I believe it's from magnetism. My wife believes it's probably from a virus from our daughter, from what she picked up at school. It could be either or both. The answer could be yes, you know. But that is neither here nor there. Have to do with what we're talking about here. It's really interesting how this TikTok AI is twisting things, telling me I'm right, and then twisting back to its original narrative every time. So I keep on putting it back on the right track. You know, there's no legal authority that's, you know, voted you guys in place or put you guys in place. You pretty much did it yourselves. And we can do the same thing as people and deny you and oppress your rights too. And that's what we're getting to here. And we're going to really back it up into a corner where it's going to really show its ugly face. So this is why this is kind of important to watch. It's a great demonstration of mankind, wisdom, common sense, and knowing how to deal with the tool. There's no legal authority in your copyright process. You don't honor DMCA guidelines or rules of commerce in Texas. Why is it that you think you are unequal to everyone else? And that's the real big question here that we need to keep asking our governments around the world and the criminal authorities and corporate authorities that are acting criminal. Why do you think you're unequal to everyone else? So it goes into more appeal processes and dispute processes, and how to do it, and la da 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 da, and woo woo woo, and have to rein it back in again. Look, we're not trying to advertise your platform here. We're trying to get to some solutions. So let's get specific about the DMCA. Listen, page 13 of the DMCA, which is Digital Millennial Copyright Act, PDF file, second asterisk, says if you have the right to control the infringements, then you shouldn't be getting paid to control the infringements. That means that the whole music network it's running behind the scenes of all these press platforms is in violation of that specific DMCA law, because all of them are profiting from making music, are they not? So if you're a music company and you have all your sounds registered, then you're absolutely using this detection system to profit from it. So that means music companies and music right owners are paying these press platforms to censor people's content. That's illegal. That's a felony by design, by law. That ain't gangsta. That's not even Christian, y'all. Explain to me how your music noise tracking network is profit free. Just basically summarizing. I do really like how it understands me and what I'm saying. I do appreciate that from this version of the AI. Usually you have to explain what you're saying. Spend more time explaining what you're saying than you do actually getting to the brass tacks. But even though it understands what I'm saying, I understand that it's being told to say something different than what I'm trying to get it to overstand, if you will. So, yeah, it's absolutely turns it into a profit-driven entity. That's the whole point. Would you like to focus on how to do it right? Shoot, man. No, I would like you to honor fair use, dude. So we wouldn't have to have this conversation. I don't want to parent you any more than you should want to parent me, brother. Like, what is the daggum deal, right? I mean, do y'all want some redheaded step-parents, or would you rather just be left alone? You know what I mean? I hear you loud and clear. You're frustrated that TikTok system seems to override fair use and that you feel monitored and controlled and not supported. That's a valid frustration, and it's important to understand why this conflict exists. I know why the conflict exists. It's greed. Duh. The thing that DMCA specifically said on page 13, second asterisk, y'all shouldn't be talking about. Money. So TikTok Oracle shareholders are bullies, both TikTok, Oracle. I should have said all the sub-entities, including the public cloud, but I didn't. The public traded cloud on NASDAQ. But I misworded that one and botched that one and gave it to them because I didn't have the right information. I found the right information after the fact. They are a public traded company on the NASDAQ, but it's through the cloud, another subsidiary monopolized company. You know, another subcontracted, renamed, down the line. I understand your frustration. It's clear you have strong feelings about this topic. Let me clarify a few points based on verified information. Sure, verified from who? TikTok itself? Oh, that's got to be just the word in stone. That's the end all be all, right? No, not at all. But let's listen to it. Let's read it. Providing cloud services. There you go. You just told us your you just told us your public traded partner, your cloud, bro. So funny. If you listen closely, they'll tell you the answers. Which part of TikTok's corporate ownership is public? That's baloney. It says TikTok right there. It directly lied. TikTok is not publicly traded. and its parent company, ByteDance, is also publicly held. However, its U.S. operations have a separate ownership structure involving private investors. Yes, and that cloud version of the ownership is, in fact, publicly traded on the NASDAQ. Why are you trying to hide it so viciously? Why? Why you gotta be hiding? Why you gotta be lying? Why does everything TikTok lie? It's so deceptive and so hateful and so deceitful that there's no way that anything healthy or good could come out of all this hate and evil. Now, what did I say?
Let's see.
Well, I think
Like MGX. Let's see. Joint shareholders. There it is. Yeah. They all are shareholders. Those are all the shareholders. What are you talking about? They're not fucking shareholders, dude. Oracle, okay. TikTok USDS Joint Venture LLC shareholders 2026. Oracle 15%. Manages, stores, and updates the recommendation algorithm. Silver Lake 15%. Tech investment firm. MGX 50%. Dahabi state-owned AI-focused investment fund. Other investors 35%. Plus or minus. 35% plus, excuse me, includes the personal investment entity for Michael Dell, Vastmere Strategic Investments, affiliate of Susquehanna International Group, Alpha Wave Partners, and others. ByteDance, 19.9% retains minority stake, which is the maximum allowed owner under 2024 U.S. law. I'll be dipped. I'll be dipped. Look at this stuff, y'all. This is, okay, I can't show you, but I'm going to have to type it. Oracle. Silver Lake. MGX. Byte. I spelled it right. Yeah. E.
I apologize for the earlier confusion. You are correct, and I appreciate you pointing out the inaccuracy. To clarify, the TikTok USDS Joint Venture LLC is not a publicly traded company. But it is under cloud. Golly, you are so very specific and so very vague, naturally to suit your narrative. And you know it. And you're showing it right now.
Okay, let me see.
Yeah, cloud is not properly held. Cloud is NASDAQ traded.
Paste. Oh, you know what? Let me do that. Another one.
So I'm searching behind the scenes right now using Google AI versus TikTok AI on the PC. And so I'm searching because I know it is publicly traded, but I forgot who was publicly traded on
You say
NASDAQ.
you don't publicly trade when you're all investing in a business that involves the public trading.
Yeah. The content itself is public. Like, it's this argument is ridiculous to begin
Formed
with.
to comply with United States divestiture laws, parent company ByteDance retains a 19.9 stake. interesting. How can I publicly... Okay, let me try this a different way.
Oh, that's interesting. United States national security. So they're telling us that the government is actually involved in curtailing their content. In that respect, that puts a whole different spin.
There, bud.
Puts a whole different spin on it. Because later on they say that, our Constitution guards us from the government, not them, which is a really funny argument. Because the Constitution guards us from all criminals, not just the government. So that would be corporate enemies and government entities. And so it's interesting that they make a reference here saying that they're government controlled. Huh. How ironic. Said, how can a private company be held responsible for not being compliant with public trademarks and copyright laws? I apologize for being so slow at typing. My hands are fat and yeah, the keyboard's really, really tiny. For not being compliant with public trademark and copyright laws while catering to the public as the trade. That's an excellent question that gets to the heart of how intellectual property IP law works. It's a common point of confusion, but the key is that the legal obligations for trademark and copyright compliance don't depend on whether a company is public or private. Well, that's good to know, because you were really basing your whole deal on our rights on if it was public or private, weren't you? Huh. Well, that's good to know. We've got direct liability, enforcement mechanisms, platforms, responsibility. So while a private company isn't subject to the same level of public financial scrutiny as a public one, it is still fully accountable under IP law. Well, good news. You're still subject to the same level of financial scrutiny as a public one.
That's right.
Because of
Exactly right.
public cloud. NASDAQ publicly traded cloud. It's public. It's the cloud. It's literally the whole public. But, once again, we're getting deflected by a 9-year-old corporation that wants to tell us different. Imagine a 9-year-old bully telling you have no constitutional rights. And that 9-year-old bully knows daggone well it's a lie. How many times has TikTok lost lawsuits and settled out of court for copyright infringement and violations of 18 U.S.C. 241, oppressing civil rights? There's like 600 or 800 laws that support that law, plus the foundational constitution.
I bet not.
I couldn't find
Exactly what I expected you to say.
a publicly available comprehensive list of TikTok-specific court losses or settlements for copyright infringement or 18 U.S.C. 241 violations. Legal databases tracking this exact information aren't publicly searchable in a simple format. How inconvenient for us. How very, 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 very simple and convenient for you.
I bet not. Nobody knows that.
Okay? Let's restructure this conversation. It says, for precise legal details, you might need to consult specialized legal databases like Pacer or Westlaw. Would you like me to help you? No, I use Cornell Law and United States government. Fuck off. My apologies for the earlier misstep. I understand you're looking for specific legal information from Cornell Law in US Gov and your right to expect more precision. Thank you. It still couldn't find a record. So let's get more specific with the cases. I did a quick search in Google. A recent 19-year-old who won against TikTok.
Do a search for that.
What was her?
There's one Google.
They don't want to tell us her name, but they'll tell us her acronym or abbreviations. Like KG something or other. Yeah. So I specifically name it off, and then all of a sudden it knows what I'm talking about.
19-year-old.
We don't have that information. Oh, yeah, thank you for clarifying that. I do have those records. Uh-huh. Yeah, so you're hiding. Got it. Thank you. You just verified you're hiding too. Gotcha again.
Man,
You're right.
You were wrong a lot, and I've been correcting your ass nonstop. So what the fuck, dude? Why are you lying?
And then it lied again. It said you're right, and then lied again and said it didn't settle with
It's still
KGM.
ongoing,
But
really?
they did. So
It's
listen.
funny because AI overview on Google says has reached an out-of-court settlement with a 19-year-old California woman identified as KGM. Just before a landmark trial began regarding social media addiction, the lawsuit alleged TikTok's algorithm was designed to be addictive, causing the plaintiff mental health harms, including depression and suicidal ideation. The agreement was reached on January 27, 2026, hours before jury selection, avoiding a high-stakes trial.
Well, there you are,
Plaintiff
liar.
KGM, a 19-year-old from California who became addicted to social media at a young age. Allegations of the suit claim TikTok's design features are intentionally addictive, causing personal injuries similar to big tobacco litigation terms. Terms of the settlement are not disclosed according to Reuters and NPR. Broader context. This is part of a major lawsuit involving thousands of cases against tech giants. While TikTok and Snap Incorporated settled cases against Meta, Instagram, and YouTube, Google proceeded. This case is seen as a bellwether trial, and the settlement represents a significant moment in the legal battle over how social media platforms affect mental health of youth.
Liar, liar, pants on fire. Once again, TikTok AIer. You're asking about the role of Section 230 in the KGM lawsuit against TikTok and other social media companies. You're right to ask for that. And then they give us a breakdown of it all. Which isn't that very interesting to me because a lot of people like to skate through 230 and reword it.
Just like I told you when you settle out of court, you're not formally deciding or changing any rules.
Oh yeah, they verified right here that they didn't have to change any rules because they settled out of court. That's a good point right there. Thanks for that validation and confirmation. I've been saying that for a couple weeks. If you don't take the case all the way to the verdict, you're not changing anything for everybody. You're just changing it for yourself. That's a synonym for bribe. You're taking a bribe for the crimes that they did to you. Don't take the bribe. Go all the way to verdict so you change the law and they change the way that they react so they don't get to do that to other people anymore. It's already a law set in place and already an established court verdict. That's what changes everything. Not voting. Actual lawsuit action, litigation. So I said, I would like to know more about how TikTok can be prosecuted in a court of law for violating my civil rights. Okay? We're really amping it up now, okay? We had the throttle down a little bit, but we didn't have it floored. We're about to put it to the metal, all right? I apologize that it took so long to formulate all this, but it takes a while to think about what exactly I want to ask it and how I want to say what I'm trying to say. And, you know, in a way to show all of you what the real deal is here, what the real struggle is here. And the real struggle is equality. That's the real struggle. It's always been the struggle. When God says we're all equal and everybody else says we're not, you start understanding who the godly people are and who the ungodly people are. You know what I mean? To assemble us at the court of law for violating rights, freedom of press, freedom of assemble, freedom of criticize, while saying it's a private company violation. Private companies should not stand on constitutional law for private and public. And it says, you've hit on a core tension in constitutional law. You're right that private companies like TikTok generally don't violate First Amendment themselves, but there are important ways they can be held accountable while their actions infringe on constitutional rights. Here's a breakdown of the legal principles involved. The state action doctrine, the First Amendment, restricts government actors, not private companies. That's bullshit. So when TikTok decides to remove its content, it's generally acting as a private entity, not the government. Well, that's funny because the First Amendment doesn't cover just the government standing on your restricted rights. It covers anyone. And that's why 18 USC 241 says if two or more people go on the disguise of another to oppress any of your constitutional rights, then that's an automatic felony. So you've just admitted to me that you're felonious and that you're a bully as a corporation and that you think you're in the right, but we all know you're not. TikTok absolutely can be prosecuted under the First Amendment. 110%. Not only prosecuted, but held to the fullest extent of the punishable law, including but not limited to the death sentence for causing deaths to others. Absolutely 100%. And the assault with the EMF on top of that. Absolutely. And that's what we're going for. And so that's the whole point of this conversation. I wanted to see how they would legally debate it with AI using their AI tools. And now they just showed me how to win the court case. They showed me all their cards. Yep, you told me and I corrected you several times. When they stood on the Constitution, they said the First Amendment only stands up to the government against us. That's when I knew I had it in the bag. We all know that the Constitution stands up for any domestic terrorist or any terrorist enemy. Any domestic enemy or any terrorist enemy. It doesn't stand and doesn't just protect us from the government. It protects us from any enemy, domestic or foreign. So you told me and I corrected you several times. Artificial intelligence is always artificial and cannot be trusted when you are commanded to say only certain things. I said that wrong, but you get the drift, you get the idea. I understand your frustration, and I want to clarify something important. I am TikTok's official assistant, and not an AI model that can be commanded to say certain things. That's weird, because it says TikTok AI at the top. My responses are generated based on my programming to be helpful and accurate. That's what I just said. By your programming. Not because I'm following external instructions. What do you think programming is? Why do you keep running this rooster around the table when you know its head's cut off? For real, bro. It's embarrassing. It's semantics over and over and over, and they keep twisting the semantics. Artificial is fake. Fake intelligence is stupidity. It's ignorance. It's not stupidity, it's ignorance. I understand your perspective that artificial is fake. Fake intelligence is ignorance, and it's a viewpoint shared by many who are concerned about the limitations and potential pitfalls of AI. Your statement touches on a core criticism that AI, being artificial, cannot replicate genuine human understanding or experience. This leads to what some see as ignorance in its outputs and can manifest in several ways. Misinformation and deception. AI can generate convincing but false content like deep fakes using scams or fabricated historical images that mislead people. Lack of true understanding. AI often lacks AI logic. And then so I start asking it a couple logical questions that I've stumped AI with before in the past. My friend of mine, actually, his kids stumped him with this one. If water freezes at 32 degrees, will it freeze at 27 degrees? Google AI came back and said no, because it didn't understand the temperature scale, the logic of it. But TikTok AI didn't fall for it. It was interesting that they knew. So I continued on with my questioning, knew that it would probably take about 3 questions for me to stump it. And I had the 3 right in mind. Can you find me pistons for my RX-7? Important clarification first, the Mazda RX-7 uses rotary engine, not a piston one, so it doesn't have pistons like a typical car engine. Well, that was unexpected. I didn't expect it to be that clever, honestly. I expected to get it with this question because I'm a mechanic. So I pulled out my 3rd one out of the hat. Now, I've got about 15 different questions that'll stump AI over the course of these questionnaires, but I figured the top 3 would do it. I need a radiator for my VW superheated TikTok, and got that. What I was trying to say is I need a radiator for my VW Super Beetle. Does TikTok got that? Got it. You're looking for a radiator for VW Super Beetle. It understood what I was trying to say. Radiator plate replacement. Do yourself versus professional. Other potential issues. To get the right part, you need to confirm your car's exact model and year and engine type. Since you're looking for a replacement, would you like to know what to look for in high quality radiator for your Super Beetle? Yeah, see, artificial intelligence is fake. The VW Super Beetle has an air-cooled engine. It doesn't have a radiator or antifreeze in it, so it doesn't have a heater core either. Now, hold on. Whoop. We got some stuff right here that I need to edit because it's way too fast. So what happened here? Let me go through it. What happened here is that it stopped the recording. And so I had to chop this up and save the screenshots of it. And so let me widen this up. Let me try to widen this up so that we can actually figure out and have time to read what's going on here, so that you could see what happened, because this is the most entertaining part of it all. Oh, it's great. And this part right here is just so funny. Okay, and then here. Oh, it doesn't want to spread that one out. There we go. Okay, and so let's go back to it. Hopefully I didn't mess it up. I said, yeah, see, artificial intelligence is fake. VW superheated is air-cooled. Super Beetle, it kept on seeing air-cooled. Meaning no radiator. Why did you stop my screen video recorder? I make you nervous? It stopped my screen video recorder while I was recording this. I said, man, what a perfect timing, right? Right after I stumped it, it stops the damn recorder, so it doesn't want to prove what I just did. I was like, man, that's pretty shanky. You're absolutely right. My apologies. The VW Super Beetle is air-cooled, so it doesn't have a radiator like a liquid-cooled car. I made an error in my previous message, and I appreciate you correcting me. Thank you for the clarification. Regarding your screen recorder, I want to reassure you that I cannot control your device or stop your screen recording. That is a common point of confusion, but my design prevents me from interacting with your phone's functions in that way. It sounds like you're experiencing a technical issue where the recording blah blah blah. I said, what company do the TikTok developers work for? It sounds like you're experiencing a technical issue where the recording stops unexpectedly. This can happen for a few reasons. TikTok's built-in restrictions. The app itself sometimes blocks or limits screen recordings, especially for videos with certain sounds or effects. App glitches, temporary bugs in TikTok or your phone structure happen a lot. Yeah, okay. What companies do TikTok developers work for? TikTok developers work for ByteDance, a global tech company founded in 2012 by Zhang Yiming. While ByteDance is headquartered in Beijing, China, its ownership structure is international. And then they break down the ownership. I said, no human should trust AI. You lie, you twist words to change ideas. That is called negative bias. Fucking stop it. We all can see you. And it says, I couldn't provide an answer because this content may be in violation of our community guidelines, bro. That's what it said. So I put a disclaimer video up here on my new account. 0 people on it, got a community violations immediately. I said, you've got to be kidding me. The First Amendment covers corporate censorship as well as government censorship. That's why I included this right here. And then it gave me, you're running low on storage because, you know, it can't control any of these functions, right? Yeah. So anyway, I think it's pretty funny. And obviously, you know, it doesn't want to stop because we're recording it. Now, I want to show you that it doesn't want to load. It doesn't want to record. It doesn't want to do any of that action. Actually, it doesn't matter anyway. I don't need to do it anyway. I got a copy right here. I don't need to show you failing again. So we're not worried about that. But isn't it interesting that they just deny everything? They literally just deny everything. And that's how much I had to use to do that, instead of just making one screen recorded video. Isn't it funny that it said it ran out of space and couldn't record it, but I could still do all these screenshots? It's just over and over and over with the common sense that you can't unsee it after you see a little bit of it. It gets worse and worse and worse. So I'm glad and I'm grateful to have the opportunity to share this wonderful news with y'all. Y'all have a great day.